Hello.
Hello, everyone, and welcome.
Yes, hopefully you can see us well, and we'll see if this all worked according to a plan.
We are on a new streaming platform that enables us to go from between or having our live stream, this love stream, in both YouTube and Facebook. So we're just getting used to this studio interface here.
Yeah.
And go ahead and give us a comment if you are in the room already. And we'll keep an eye out for that, and we'll just be a moment here.
Don't see. Okay. This looks a bit strange. I don't think we want this here.
Oh, maybe it's giving us.
There we go.
What about? Oh, maybe we have to do this. This go full screen.
We don't want to go full. There we go. I just fixed it.
Looks like you can make that larger. Try that one.
But I want to see the chat, so...
I think we'll still see the chat. I was told the chat would be down here.
I would like to see it better than that, though. Let's see.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, yeah, okay, this works.
Okay.
How does this look to everyone? I'm not sure why there's a background here, but this is what it does. It is showing it on my feed, so that's good to know. We're figuring all this out.
Yes.
Hopefully it also shows up. This picture is not looking the greatest either compared to how it normally looks, so I'm not sure what that's about either. Anyway, you can let us know if you can see us. I don't see any comments yet. If it's a comment, oh, that's a private chat. Okay, that's not what we want here. I'm so sorry, everyone. This is brand new to us, so we're a little bit lost. I lost the chat. I think I have to go back to minimum so that I can see it.
Oh, it says we have 5 people viewing.
Yeah, I can't see the chat though.
7 people.
Do you know where the chat might be? This is a private chat, so that's not the one.
That just means it's private to us, but I think that's the only. They told me that was the one.
Okay, can someone comment on the chat? And okay, here. Oh, here's the comments. Okay. How do we look now? How are we looking right now? Does that look good?
Oh, there's comments. One from YouTube and Facebook.
Okay, I don't know why I can't see it on my computer, but for some reason. Okay, so does this, doesn't look like I can see it though.
And we sound okay?
Just let us know as an update, Kasha or Rihanna, how do we look? Can you see us?
Yeah, looking good, we're hearing here. Looking good, everyone's saying. Yeah.
And then on YouTube, someone could let us know. For some reason it's playing back and it shouldn't be. Do you hear
that? No, that's...
Okay.
So, as I mentioned, we're using a streaming platform to go to YouTube and to Facebook at the same time, something we've never done before. And it looks very simple, yet there's obviously a couple of familiarities that we are still getting used to. So thank you for joining us and helping us through this little gauntlet.
Yeah, keep talking. I'm going to check out something here.
We just want to keep talking. Well, we've got our intro, but I'm looking forward to feeling you joining us today for this series of love streams. And this one in particular is the one that we feel so foundational about. of
Okay.
the emotional body. And thank you for being here. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for bringing your need and your desire and your intention and your presence.
Yes.
And that is a co-creative energy that makes this what it is together with us.
And thanks for bearing with us for 6 minutes with all of that. Obviously, we're learning here quite a bit. We wanted to be able to share these to Facebook, but also to YouTube, where we have almost 5,000 subscribers. And it just felt important to try to do this.
Yeah.
Particularly for this series, when we're looking at 6 transmissions during this Lionsgate portal, beginning on 7/7 and going until 8/8. So we've already done, the first one was around the Sirius gateway alignment 7/7 portal. Then the second one was the physical body detox and upgrade. We did that last week, and you can watch all of those on our Facebook feeds or on the YouTube channel. So this one is now obviously a focus on something that's very near and dear to our hearts, and is probably the core of what we offer as our work in the world, is the emotional body and healing of trauma, clearing of trauma, and healing sacred wounds. And so that felt very important to have a focus on as we're looking at something that's usually seen as more a cosmic activation or a spiritual unveiling, Lionsgate. But I also feel there's quite a strong emotional kick up as well, and opportunity here.
Without really bringing the emotional body front and center, it really becomes a bit suspect of why we're interested, why parts of us are drawn to different spiritualities, and even to our star family connection, for instance. As beautiful as all of these gifts are, and part of our capacity, there can be such a strong desire to escape, to not be embodied in the rigors of your sacred life, your sacred journey. And so this is where the polarity and the duality, the sacred duality of life, and the choices and the growth and the leverage of really choosing to be here can be avoided by our spirituality when we're not embracing what's really going on inside of us. And so many spiritualities even make this some kind of non-reality as to what you're feeling and experiencing. And we'd like you to invite you to feel how sacred your expression is and experience is in the emotional body, as even the divine experiencing life through you. And even if you're not able to feel it as the divine, to feel it as you, and how it is a perfect set of circumstances that's aligned to your growth this life. So where you are is the right place to be.
How you feel is the right way to feel as well.
Yeah.
And I actually, in sort of preparation and tuning into this Lovestream, I took in chapter 6 of my book, Free to Be 5D, which is also available now as an audiobook on YouTube for free. So you could read this after, listen to this after if you want to. But there's an entire chapter in that book about healing emotional, there it is, about healing emotional body trauma and sacred wounds. And as I was reading it, I had again that strange feeling of like, I wrote this, you know, but also it's just again so core to everything that we're about. And what I really reminded myself by reading that is how much this has been a focus for me for so many years, and how I really prioritized it as a soul over my spiritual awakenings. So a lot of people that I've seen and we've worked with, you know, it's kind of the other way around, where the spiritual awakenings are leading this desire for peak experiences or whatever it is. And then it's kind of like, oh goodness, there's some emotional trauma here that I need to deal with. Sometimes it's the other way around. But I think there's an inherent challenge in it the other way. So I'm actually thankful to my soul that there was such a focus on this so early on, starting 20 years ago. And then I really drew to myself what I can honestly sit here and say I feel is the most effective and deep and efficient even way to connect with emotional trauma. And that is through the parts of the self. And it's interesting because 20 years ago, it's like you talked about this and people thought you were a bit crazy. We got a lot of pushback. But now it's becoming more and more understood as a leading edge of, I guess you could say, psychotherapy. I think it fits in there. But we hold it much beyond the way it's held therapeutically. But it was introduced and discovered originally by Carl Jung, and then kind of took off from there in its own different ways. And rather than seeing it as a modality or a tool or a therapy, we feel that this connection with different parts of the self and ultimately soul aspects as well is very much more about consciousness. That it's you're acknowledging the fragmentation that occurred, starting with the divine, and then downstream into even 3D reality. And then as we interfaced with 3D reality, fragmenting into these different parts of the self was the only way to survive here. And the density, and this is something I don't think therapy really gets. They make it more of a wounded reality, this fragmentation that you have to, fix or very clinically look at. The parts don't even have names. They usually just have roles. So we do call something an inner protector, but pretty quickly it shifts. It claims a name, it claims an energy, it has its own dimension, it has its own consciousness. People are amazed at how this unfolds. And we're recognizing that it's not a pathology. It's what's helped us survive here. Yet it's also limiting as we try to, and as we are awakening into 4D and 5D. This fragmentation inside of us creates a polarization that leads to suffering and also keeps a veil in place hugely on our soul awakenings and our embodiment into our physical body. So that's really what's at issue, is that it's time to upgrade it.
That's saying and feeling so much. And I'm trusting that you're feeling it as you're listening today, and just feeling what these words are stirring inside of you, feeling what you were speaking to, and the traditional therapies that have even traditional psychology has labeled something multi-personality disorder. And right there, if you have more than one personality inside of you, that's seen as a disorder. But rather seeing that, of course, we have an inner child, an inner teenager, a part of us that fragmented off in its experience. And the gift that is to us to go and bridge and have a relational space inside of you, still you to you, but to this part of you who's still living in that timeline. And instead of having that part of you and their immaturity, pardon another judgmental word, or their wounded behaviors living your life for you, that you're fused to this part, you are coming in a seat of who? You're coming in a seat of more of your divine self, just by this intention to feel, relate, bridge to. And that divine self has an open heart and a curious heart, and it doesn't have a fix-it approach. That would be another part of us that is urgently wanting to therapize or to fix. So in that way, it's not even therapy, that the focus is on. It's honoring that there is maybe some behaviors or patterns that there's a desire inside of you to change them, but it's not coming from this place of fixing. And so those are just some initial senses of why we really feel that without differentiating parts of ourselves, there isn't a relational space, a to and a from inside of us. There's us just working on ourselves, but without differentiating these selves, it stays really congested. And at best, we find it replaces certain habits with other habits, but doesn't create intimacy or vulnerability or transparency with yourself and with the world.
And there's so much suffering in that I. People come to us and it's I feel this and I feel that and I am doing this and I want to do that, and it's so polarized again. Like it's so one part wants to leave the relationship, or I want to leave the relationship and I don't want to leave the relationship. When you've just got an I voice, there's nothing to negotiate. There's no way to differentiate those energies. So then you're left in this, I call it the soup of suffering, where you're just an I trying to find its way. And what we're acknowledging is that we're not an I in 3D in that way. We're not a unified I. We are a bunch of fragmented different energies that have this range, as you were saying, of immaturity, most of them stuck, not in memory of things happened in the past, but the literal dimensional energies of the trauma. This is the thing that stuns people, is that they'll say, oh, well, I lost my father when I was 11 and I don't really remember it. And it's like, well, that part of you is still there, guaranteed. Mm-hmm. So then when we go in to feel that 11-year-old, there she is right there in at the funeral, if that's what she wants to show us. And so then it's feeling that 11-year-old at the funeral. And are you doing okay? How are you feeling? And then we visit, we reparent, and we bridge. And then we kind of hand that 11-year-old over to you and say, okay, now you're a parent. Here's an 11-year-old for you to parent. Mm-hmm. And then on the other end is the protector energy we work with, who's kind of been hovering over that 11-year-old the entire time. As your body is aging and you're getting older, there's still that 11-year-old in there who has not moved from that moment. You're literally in arrested development. I feel like we all are, until we acknowledge that there are parts of us stuck, looping. And if the protector's really strong in, I don't want you to remember, and I don't want to go there, and blocking it, and let's take more ayahuasca instead, or let's do more journeys, or let's do more meditation, what you're going to find is it bubbles up anyway. It comes to the surface, because it feels to me, and I think you would agree, that what is really innate and true is what is in our emotional bodies. Mm-hmm. Like that is the most authentic piece or expression of our humanity, truly.
Yeah, because why would we choose to be here if it wasn't to have this experience in the body with all that we feel and experience? This differentiating apart is, we experience it personally over and over again. We can have something general, a mood, a feeling, a need, and we're feeling it but not really getting it until we feel the part of us that's holding what they're holding, and their desire, their frustration, or whatever it is. And then it immediately opens up and there's relief. And we feel that same peace when we're working with people and we're maybe in a session space with them and they're talking about memories. And yeah, you can feel they're talking about something and it has energy, but we're not in connection with it. And then when we go
it's a story at that point.
Yeah, and it gets even tiring to listen to the story because the story's been told over and over again and it's still here. But then when we actually go in one-on-one session space to bridge to and feel that part and actually have the person drop into that part and that awareness and speak as that part, which most people find is really possible and doable, especially as they begin by creating simple bridges to these parts and begin with some journaling exercises. Then that tenor of that interface just changes so differently, and it's so dynamic and so interesting and engaging, because it's a real heart to heart, face to face with the part.
If any of you watching this who've experienced this with us in session space want to share about, I know it's a lot, a lot you could share, but maybe a couple sentences about what this has meant to you or what you've accessed or what you've been. I'm particularly interested, Jasper, if you would share something as a man and what this has offered you in terms of understanding and feeling, not just understanding and awarenesses, but feeling emotion. How what we're speaking to here has helped you access trauma, whatever you feel like sharing about that.
Yeah.
But that's been the bigger challenge, right? Is for men and even the inner masculine in women to see the value in this, the validity.
It seems that we've seen the feminine be more willing and wanting to explore in the emotional body about what's true for them. And maybe the masculine by nature, and you're right, we all have an inner feminine and an inner masculine regardless of our physical gender. But for those of us that are gendered physically, there seems to be this even deeper inclination to go to other spiritualities of getting to know the non-dual, getting to know sainthood, and these priest and monk lifetimes that we've had come in and create this devotion to the divine. But even in those two settings, in the non-dual teachings, there's a lot of context, a lot of mental body activation, and a lot of theories about how to not suffer. But there's no embracing of the emotional body other than these little prescriptions that don't touch these parts of the self. So how can we create a bridge where the path to the source of all that is and the ultimate reality being non-dual in nature, but that reality dualized itself, so both are true. And the devotional aspects to the divine includes you, because you are the divine fragmented itself, and we're in that same likeness and image, so our self is fragmented, and these are now our beloveds that we are divinely in stewardship over and with. And
that's a beautiful phrase.
Now, if all three of these practices of the being a person, being a devotional being, and being in touch with this non-dual, that and the support structure of that holding, so it's not just getting buried in the emotional reality alone. It is the support of the all and the support of divine connection. And the masculine has tended away from the emotional, and that's changing, because the time spent, for me, it was embracing Christianity this life. And there was such a deep awareness that in myself and in our church community, there was a lot of passion and a lot of engagement, a lot of focus, but our emotional realities were overshadowing our relationships with others, our vulnerability, which couldn't be seen or felt, and our transparency, which was really shut down because of our having things figured out and being so busy trying to export them to help save the world. And this can really be all rooted in the unresolved emotional body. So that I
wanted to read Rihanna's comment.
Yeah. You see it there too.
I was lucky enough to grow up with you. That's our daughter, and was raised to be connected to my emotions. But even with that, it could be hard to reconcile the more rebellious parts of me that didn't want to feel and my natural capacity to feel. Yes. Actually, going into the process really illuminated how deep the emotional body goes and the layers that it holds for both heart and soul. Yeah, it's really reconciling that we can't deny this reality, this fragmented reality, and that there's parts of us that are in suffering, and that we are emotional. We're emotional beings first. We're a soul coming into a body, and then we, as soon as we hit 3D reality, there's an emotional reaction. In fact, I've gone all the way back to being a fetus and my mother, and there was a lot of things to feel there. So the feeling starts as soon as we incarnate, and that is actually the reason. It's kind of what you were talking about too. The reason we choose to be in 3D is because of how deeply we can feel here. And I've been told that by so many galactic beings, higher dimensional beings, the Arcturians, all these beings that everybody wants to be like, they're actually saying, I love your emotional capacity that humanity has. And it's not our emotional capacity that's the issue. It's the immaturity of it. And immaturity is really what we're speaking to, that these traumas have not been digested. And we always come back to digestion. It isn't just the experience of the trauma, it's that it hasn't been digested and felt with the part that experienced it. And so that's what we create in session space. We create a digestion space so that you really go not only back to it, you drop into it. And what comes through you is the energy of that part, but yet you're also still there with them. You're still you as your adult you don't black out or go into a trance or anything. You're still there, and we're there. And I've had some really beautiful experiences of this lately, particularly with the inner teenager. And one I just want to share very briefly was an inner teenager who came through, and I literally felt like she had wrapped both of us in a blanket, and we were like under a blanket. This was a woman who came in person, so it was like I almost wanted to physically put us under a blanket, and she was telling me secrets. It was so visceral, it was so real. And that woman was struck by that coming out of it. She had told me she didn't remember much about being a teenager, but then there we were, and she was that part, but yet she was also her. Now she can create a relationship of healing. So that's just a tiny example. We have hundreds and hundreds of examples over 20 years. I mean, we could go on and on and on and on.
I was reminded of, I was working also in person with a session with a man today, and the point he made about, he was so shocked by how time seems to be so different in doing this work, in how not only were these traumas right there and ready to be felt and experienced and loved and bridged to, but deep moments of bliss and realization and deep openings that were almost equally undigested.
Right.
And he knew about them, and he remembered them. And it's like he always tells that story with whomever he's associated with, because the story is still a story because it hasn't been digested yet. And he was finding all of this support structures that came in many years ago, being able to integrate. And one of them was, he noted that he was in an ayahuasca journey, just opened up to feeling so natively joyful. And it was a deep experience of, this is my native joy, and not being able to experience it in daily life ever since then. And now he's being shown that native joy is a big part of his reason for taking this journey. And
it lives in the inner child, right?
Yes.
That native joy. So ayahuasca was a bridge, but it didn't sustain because it was an altered bridge. It was transcendent versus embodied. So we're not saying there isn't a usefulness to these bridges, but they're very rarely integratable, is what we find. And sometimes they even recapitulate trauma as well, because a lot of bad things can happen during these kind of situations because you're so vulnerable. But what a beautiful portal. Now he can actually digest that experience and feel his inner child in it. That we get off on this genuinely. You want to read Jasper?
Sure. Jasper, thank you for commenting. For so long, I've always resorted to the fix-it solution and falsely thought that I'd been living my life with what I would consider a full cup, or as full as I could fill it. Once I leaned into this draw for a deeper connection and meaning, I began one-on-one sessions with Raphael, and I quickly realized that I've been bypassing all these feelings, and honestly, my cup wasn't full at all. I still know this one in terms of feeling, I'm just a happy person, and I'm pretty well adapted.
Did you pin that or something? That's cool.
I don't know.
Okay.
Oh, I tapped on it.
Oh.
Show. Okay, there's a show button.
Oh. Okay.
Well, let's play with that. Let's show it there.
Okay.
And
it's a good one.
I quickly realized that I have been bypassing all these feelings, and honestly, my cup wasn't full at all. For all this time, I couldn't feel truly what parts were suffering and how to intimately be transparent with that. This is so potent. It is just this transparency is so beautiful. It has that word it has that word parent in it, and it is literally a re-parenting. It's becoming the parent that you never had, and to these parts of you. And
it's really beautiful too to feel a man saying that.
Oh God.
And the tenderness that opens out when you start accessing this as well.
And it really leads to the embodiment of the true embodied, fully masculine, awakened power, because it can have super strong expression, but the heart is open and the vulnerability is there, yet there's something signature in the masculine expression. So
I wanted to read, Kasha said something too. If you have any questions, by the way, feel free to put them into the comments as well, or just a comment.
Welcome, John. Happy birthday to you and your 35th year.
I can feel some people from a cat from YouTube. It's good to see you here. This is why we did the two streaming thing, because we wanted to include people on YouTube.
You didn't miss too much. You did miss the first 6 minutes where we were trying to sort out the tech a little bit. You don't want to
see that anyway. Kasha, this work truly found me at a time when I could have taken off in a different direction in spirituality altogether. I have really had so much to be grateful for in the challenges and openings I've experienced all these years. I would not be who I am without this work and these souls around me too. There's truly so much to the emotional body, and it's infinitely humbling to wade into. I truly feel like my life would not be as rich without my emotional capacity and healing heart. So we are definitely advocating for feeling. So one of the things I talk about in my book, that chapter 6, is about things like anxiety and depression, which is probably two of the things that people really come to us, I'm so anxious, I'm so depressed. And then often there's medications that go along with that. And that has just risen in the last 20 years, more and more of that.
Pharmaceutical medications and lifestyle patterns.
And absolutely addictions and that kind of thing. And what we really feel is that these are portals. So just like we talked about last week, how the physical body pain, whatever it is that's annoying you or chronic or keeps coming back, is a portal. It's trying to tell you something. It's information. It's a way to know yourself. We're so absolutely conditioned opposite of that, to fix it, to ignore it, to divert it, to medicate it. So both what we said about the physical body feels like it's even more true in the emotional body. So rather than seeing depression, anxiety, a rage problem, whatever it is, as an issue to fix.
Even an addiction or a desire to die.
Feeling that more as a portal. And something like depression, I describe in my book how that took me to 5 different places, including into the galactic, remembering myself as a galactic ambassador when I was 17. So this wasn't just about this life trauma. Anxiety is what we find is usually very complex and often has to do with the separation wound from the divine. So in our work, we'll go to this life usually starting, because that's what the inner protector, that's where they usually take you. But then pretty quickly, it starts expanding into, maybe not pretty quickly, it depends on the person, into other lifetimes and what we call the sacred wombs. So it's like trauma is just an off-gassing in some ways. It's this life experiences, but it's really these sacred wounds that we have signed up with the divine to heal. Through ourselves. And there's ones I think we universally experience, and there's ones that we experience as women, and there's ones we experience as men. And, some of them are, for example, the persecution wound. There's the separation from the divine wound. There's experiencing sexual abuse as a wound, any kind of abuse as a wound. And I talk about those in that chapter as well. So one of my favorite Rumi quotes is, "The wound is where the light enters you."
Yeah. The word wound literally means opening. So without the wound, there isn't any opening into this whole dimension of being.
It's so interesting when people come to us, we're so much more interested in your wounds.
Yeah.
And what you're saying is your suffering. And the stories at first you're telling us about that suffering than we are about the openings you've had or the awakenings you've had, or all, we can feel the leading edge of your being, but it's that where the growth is, and where the exploration is, where the discovery is.
And all of the pieces that we're feeling around how we are showing up in relationships, of course, in our closest relationships with family and with romance partners, and in our professional worlds even, all is rooted in this emotional body and what hasn't been explored and what is being explored. And we find the magic of our lives as so profoundly, naturally and organically and self-lovingly, manageably changed into the alignment with our soul, our meaning, our purpose, and our joy of being. Yes, we're talking about opening to feeling sorrow, but we are so doing that with the presence of joy at the same time. So yeah, we wanted to give you an introduction today to experiencing your emotional body. And so we're going to play our sound bowls and have a moment's transmission together.
Okay, I'm going to try to, hopefully this works.
Coming through loud and clear.
Yeah, let us know if you hear them. Oh, thanks for the comment, Samantha. Shifting from the idea of being wounded to portals, yes. Someone could let us know if they hear the bowls or not. Sounds great. Okay.
Great.
So we're just going to do a quick
settings, which we've done.
We're just going to do a fairly quick meditation, but it usually is quite effective at tuning you into your emotional body as it is right now in this moment. And it will give you a sense of how fluid it is, how much access you have, and the bowls as well. Mostly we will be playing the root chakra bowl and the heart chakra bowl. So grounding into the heart. So if you want to close your eyes with us, we'll let in the frequency of the root chakra. Heading in the heart. may already be feeling something stirring in your heart and in your emotions. Just allow yourself to feel. Your heart is the doorway to your emotional body, so you may even put your hands on your heart in this moment, just to feel your heart. Tuning in to your feelings. And with your connection to your heart, allow it to guide you to the bank of a river. And this river is the representation of your emotional body. As we've been talking about it today and introducing you to it. So if you just notice, maybe you see it, feel it, a combination of both. How does it feel and look to you, this river? Is it flowing? Is it more stagnant or frozen? Shallow or deep? Murky or clear? And as you're tuning in to your emotional body, a memory may come, or a trauma comes back up, or even a good kind of feeling. So allow space for that in your heart to feel that in this moment. You may notice a protective part of you lingering on the shore there. And you can check in with them and see if they're guarding your emotional body. They might literally show up with a a weapon or a shield, or they're just watching over it. You can ask them if you have connection with this protector. You can ask them if it's okay if you go into the water of your emotional body, if it's okay if you swim in there, if you start to connect to it. They may not be comfortable with that right now. It may take some more time. If you feel a sense of permission and movement, you might move right into it, right into the stream. Or maybe you're ice skating on top, or whatever comes. And notice what you feel as you do that.
Feel also with the energy that's coming from the inner protector of your emotional body. Extend a bridge from your heart to theirs. Your words and intention to connect further. As well as receive any messages and words that the protector shares with you. Allow this sacred beginning and yourself permission to celebrate this opening, to trust it, to commit to it, to embrace it. I feel all of your guides here, especially Divine Father, offering his support to you. Divine Mother is here also, creating a perfect blend of masculine and feminine support for you as your divine self, holding this bridge, honoring your autonomy and sovereignty. As this sacred bridge that you extend to the protector and each part of you.
Feel and see Mother Mary here, who so often has held space for me and my tears and for so many parts of me and parts of people. And I kind of see her floating above the emotional body rivers. Some of them she's swimming in with you. If you're swimming, she's swimming. But if you're standing on the shore, she's there too. On the shore. And anything else that you need to have felt, Divine Mother's heart is with you. Your feelings don't disqualify you from the divine. They don't mean that you're bad or wrong or sinful. Divine wants to feel them with you, and so do your guides, and so does your star family. And they learn through your feelings and your tears, and they remember their own tears. Some of them having chosen to transcend their emotions, and they miss feeling. Your willingness to feel heals not only yourself, but humanity as well, and the divine. So maybe this short little transmission today created a little bridge inside of you and your emotions, just to allow the sacred space for feeling. It's my most treasured and precious moments. It's nearly every moment of every day. It's certainly every morning, dedicated time for what am I feeling in whichever part or aspect I'm working with. And right now it's kind of a unified field celebratory time. So that's nice. But I'm very open to, and reactions are a really beautiful portal to the next places of discovery. And I've said before, but I actually miss my reactions sometimes, or being more reactionary. And yet also it's a relief as well, but you know what I mean. Yeah.
Celebrate. There's this opportunity to celebrate everywhere along the journey, as opposed to the destination. In the couple minutes we have left, if anybody has a moment just to share what they experienced in the meditation, if by chance you share afterwards in the comment stream after the recording is over, we'll see and respond to that, of course, as well. But if you'd like to share.
You're welcome.
Yeah. Samantha shared a comment there. This is my experience too, shifting from the idea of being wounded to that I have portals, as we talked about earlier, this portals to go into is so exciting. And this is an example, beautiful example of the energy that arises to go into wounding and trusting that our souls were willing to come here to have this wounding to be opened, and it's the essence of our vulnerability. And
I just wanted to say, and we'll respond to any other comments that come, that I was feeling a reaction to our technology issues, and a part of me who just wants everything to go really well for everybody all the time. It's not so much perfectionism. It's kind of like a queen that wants to hold the space, and so there's a vibration that I could feel going on, that just through teaching, through being with you, through playing the bowls, just relaxed. So that was a reaction.
Yes.
We had tension beforehand.
Yes.
So it's not like we no longer have tension or reactions. It just gets answered fairly quickly. The gap between the reaction and the response is like nil. It's a pretty immediate response. Do you want to read Rihanna's?
Yeah.
So I wanted to share that. That's how the transmission helped me.
Rihanna said, I was feeling very emotional. Let's see if we can show that.
Oh, you like that now, huh?
I was feeling very emotional with an aspect this morning that so felt this like the perfect support to that process. She was feeling grief, fear, sorrow, and just having this gentle journey really helped her. Helped her to feel safe in these emotions. I love that, Rihanna. I guess I could have read that off the big screen there. Well, this new tech is exciting. And that is so beautiful, Rihanna. You're highlighting that word, gentle. And just earlier today, I had left this beautiful session that I mentioned earlier with this man, and he was talking about returning to his joy and that beauty and simplicity. And we had to make an errand to town, and right in front of the car bounded a baby deer, and it bounced in front of us and then trotted off.
It looked like a teenager.
Yeah, it was a little more than a baby.
It wasn't one of those toddly babies like Bambi. It was like a teenager.
Bambi plus.
Yeah.
But tiny. And that whole message of the deer is one of gentleness, but then in the form of the youthfulness of a deer, it was all about this new beginnings. And to feel such beauty and power coming together from such gentleness. Yeah, we'd like to leave you with that feeling today.
Demetra, I wondered where you were. We missed you. The power was out in her building and it came up now. Well, that must mean, and if parts of you had feelings about that, I'm sure you were with those feelings, because that's what we've been talking about. Yeah, obviously, the recording is here to take in. The deer was precious. One thing that's nice about this is that the people on YouTube can see it, and the people on Facebook, and vice versa. So that's really nice. We've decided we like this app, even though it was a learning curve. Obviously, I need to be with the part of me who's not so comfortable in the learning process, especially just when it comes to service, and if it might impact other people. There's only so much of that you can control. I mean, I've certainly learned that over so many years.
In the commotion of tech itself, there's our intention to have these kind of sacred spaces together with you. At first, it can feel like trying to have, a church service in the foyer of the church instead of in the sanctuary. But with your energies and your shared intention and presence, we come into that quieter space. And that commotion energy of even tech can be about the commotion that's inside of us that wants to transform, transmute, and heal. So we don't have judgment to any of it, but feel it as an opportunity, a portal. And we tune into the opportunity in the portal.
I did want to mention next week, we will go into relationship resonance, upgrade. There's all kinds of things to talk about there. That will be a really interesting one, moving from dissonance to resonance, codependency to interdependency, and how what we talked about today relates to that. And relationships, it feels like, are getting kind of a rumbly ground during Lionsgate. They usually do. So both reunions coming together of soulmates and partners, and also dissolutions and separations. It's a dynamic time that way. So that's what we will share more about next week. And we also have a group call coming up on Sunday, the 21st, where we really focus and give a lot of beautiful attention and a long journey to the inner teenager, who we've mentioned a few times.
Mm-hmm.
But it really is a core part of us in terms of our relationality, our social experience, our soul initiations and gifts. There's so many ways that this part of us, and it's just waiting for initiation and has so often been invalidated. So if you'd like to join us for that or get the recording, there'll be more information in the description. And that is on Zoom in 2 hours. And then also we open you up to be able to share during that on camera if you want to. So that is a different experience, obviously, than being here on social media. It's a private experience by donation.
Oh, wow.
Anna, good.
Well, we had Kat shared, Samantha shared.
Oh, okay.
Wow,
I think I want to read these.
Okay, we're just going to take our liberty and go beyond the 1 hour mark, because we can do
I want
that.
to take these in. And you're welcome to stay with us too, or not. That's okay too.
Thank you for
If
being
you
willing
need to go.
comment publicly. But Samantha said, this was so beautiful. I was not expecting to go this deep. My sweet protector beckoned me into the water, and I remembered that swimming was my safe space. Tears came. I had the fear without my punisher. Who am I? And then Lillian, my punisher protector on the shore with my protector, Helen, said, the shame is not yours. I wept. Thank you. This was huge. Oh, wow. It's so beautiful. Thank you, Samantha, for highlighting the beauty of knowing and feeling several different parts and your fluidity with them. That's really beautiful.
Wow, that's great.
And Kat shared as well. When the bowl started, I instantly was taken to a train track. I walked the track, and a stone bridge appeared right before you mentioned the river. Okay. It was so peaceful and soft flowing. Wow. Awesome.
That's beautiful.
What an honor to have you join us, Kat, and to have that shared experience with us in the room together.
Yeah.
And thank you for your transparency and comfort to put it here in the space.
There was also Anna.
Oh, yes. Scroll down. Okay. This seems to be bridging for me to go deeper. I saw my young self child, Jessica, playing in the stream, feeling excited and fearful, but fearing to go deeper. I saw my inner protector on the edge of the shore, watching over me, saying, okay, but don't go too far. As I went deeper, I began to have a flood of emotions and tears. I began to see and remember the dreams I've had the last couple of days and the emotional reactions I've had simultaneously. Insecurity in relationship, past confined living spaces with abusive experiences from partners and birth mother. After I began to feel more peace, I believe this is bridging to the new, loving, peaceful, relating, and living space for me. Oh, whoa. Anna, that is so
wow, that's
divine.
Alive.
What a beautiful reconciliation with yourself on so many levels.
And I love the piece about the inner protector, being on the shore and like, don't go too deep there. That's one of the things I really love about this meditation.
Yeah.
It establishes that relationship as well.
Kat mentioned, and thank you for joining us for those of you on YouTube, and Kat's here on YouTube, so this is wonderful. Then an energy appeared as a bright golden yellow light hovering about the water. It was so peaceful, so I stayed the rest of the time. Oh, of course you did.
And you might go back too. I mean, that kind of speaks to that you're pretty open to your emotional body, that you're not resisting perhaps your feelings, or at least your protector in this moment wanted you to experience it that way, as a peaceful place. Maybe it's because they want you to go in deeper to it, and they wanted it to be inviting, or your guides wanted you to go deeper, but that's really interesting.
Yeah.
And I did want to mention, a lot of the people sharing here have been in sessions with me or Raphael, and that's part of why they were able to just pretty quickly go to their parts and say the names. And so this is part of what the access is that opens up, and quite quickly as well. So if you're drawn to that,
Yes,
obviously
we'd love
we
to.
do one-on-one sessions, and we'll put more information about that below as well.
We'd love to hear from you. We're very approachable.
And then we can do a very personalized, collaborative journey with you, where we're going into it together, because it's in that being felt moment that the digestion seems to be deepest. Wow, this was so alive. Thank you for riding the waves with us if you've been here since the beginning, and also when you take in the recording. And my queen is leaving this happy that everyone seemed to have a good experience. So,
and my king is very happy here too, together with you. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for being connected in whatever proximity of connection feels right for you.
And I hope this gave some little bit more self-permission to feel, and if you are a deep feeler, validation that you're really tuning into something important. So thank you. We'll see you next time.
All right. Bye.
I actually